Caitlin Glass, the voice of Vados from Dragon Ball Super.
This is Paul St. Peter,
and you are watching
Brian Awesome. There's a reason we call him Brian Awesome. It's because he's awesome.
I haven't done this in years, but this is probably the first video y'all seen of me, but I'm so excited that I finally got some stuff in the mail, and I need to get back into the groove of video visual presentation and crap. But as y'all know, the name's Bruce Wayne from Gotham City. Right now I'm in uptown Newport News, not downtown Newport News. I ain't going back there again, bad experiences, but finally I got some of my stuff in the mail early. You know how some people order certain stuff online, or certain, you know, like some people's moms like to order curtains and different stuff to decorate their rooms online, and when it says 7 to 10 days or wherever the case, they mean 7 to 10 days or longer if something goes wrong. But sometimes when you order stuff, they'll come like within the first 2-3 days, even though it says longer than that. So I'm about to do an old-fashioned unboxing of sorts, since there's something that's on YouTube a lot, people unboxing toys and action figures and stuff. But right now, I'm about to unbox something that has not been seen on TV or whatnot not TV. Well, yeah, if you count commercials, that hasn't been seen on commercials in years. As y'all probably know, what makes up a country, or what makes up America, is the people who built it, and then a lot of the cultures or forms of entertainment or wherever the case that help keep it afloat or whatnot. Because a lot of forms of entertainment, amongst other things, are made with one of the main purposes of keeping us together. At least that's what I think. You know, entertainment back in the day where you had James Brown and different musicians and whatnot, or different types of sports later on, like from people such as Irvin Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or wherever the case, or the 70s and 80s had the Temptations or whatever. And then in the 1990s, a lot of those artists maybe have still been around for the time being, along with other artists coming along, as well as other forms of entertainment. But what I'm about to focus on, because I'm doing this for the purpose of an intro, not just straight going into it, what I'm about to do. What I have here represents the best childhood anyone could ask for, the best era of television. And I'm not necessarily talking about the whole anime boom of cartoons and whatnot that happened from 2000 to 2006 or whatever. I'm not necessarily referring to, you know, the whole action period of animation and whatnot that happened between 96/7 to 1999. You know, with Batman and Superman and stuff like that becoming popular on Kids WB and Fox Kids or wherever the case. I'm talking about when I'm about to unbox basically started the 90s in regards to the children's animation. And the reason why I say children's animation is because this was the main focus of this was kids, or still is kids, but stuff that came out then was universal, which means that parents got in, just, you know, the older demographics got into this as well. And it wasn't because they had kids or they were babysitting some kids and they just had to watch it with them and be bored to death until something else came on, or the kids went to sleep or whatever. The parents got into it or whatever because they ended up enjoying it too, because it was something to offer them, whether it was comedy or action or some type of life lessons that they could relate to or they could pick up on later. And I'm not gonna say that this was the very first thing that started the 90s and whatnot in regards to animation, because we all know stuff existed before the 90s. To kind of give a brief overview, the 80s had Thundercats and the classic He-Man and Voltron, and the 80s Transformers and G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, and stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff, when you get into a newer era, sometimes you have to use older stuff as a platform before you have newer stuff. So that's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why like when you look at like when you look at pro wrestling, and when you transition from one era to another, sometimes you'll have wrestlers from a previous era, either because they still got it or they got something to offer, or they need somebody to hold the fort until they bring some more people in. That's why you had the Undertaker still being there from the Stone Age years until the New Generation era, and then from the New Generation era into the Attitude era, and so on. Or that's why you still had Shawn Michaels, or whoever the case, transitioning from one era into another. And I think that was one of the main purposes of those 80s cartoons and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and wherever the case. But we needed something more for the main purpose of appealing to the next coming generation, of what we think they might like, or testing to see what they might like and to continue what they actually do like. So classic stuff along with new stuff that would come. And back then we had the Stone Age networks that are still around, that's been around for hundreds of years, like ABC and CBC and all those channels that aired Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that stuff. But we were heading to the point in the 90s where we would need known platforms, network platforms, or at least block platforms to air what would become shows of the 90s. This is a time where eventually Nickelodeon would become more popular with airing this stuff like Rugrats and whatnot, and have little blocks like Snick and whatever. And this is around the time where eventually Cartoon Network would start in 1992. But one network and one show that I'm about to mention is one I'm about to kind of unbox. I'm sure y'all remember a little network or block by the name of Fox Kids. To visually portray my point, a couple of Fox Kids issue magazines I got autographed by Robert Axelrod, who was Lord Zed off of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Richard Epcar, who was Myotismon off of Digimon, Tony Oliver, who was the Talking Sword Saba from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You know, G Whittaker's Tommy, we need to activate the Tigerzord, or G Whittaker's Tommy, you're losing. Retreat or do something smarter. Don't be stupid. You're about to, the Talking Sword that Tommy had off of Power Rangers. And that was one of the first. The hell is this? This goes to my Game Boy Advance. Anyway, Fox Kids was one of the first blocks to establish itself in the 90s. And the first show, one of the first shows to really to make an impact, wasn't what we think it was. Oftentimes in discussions like this, when you think about it, but one of the shows was X-Men animated series, and X-Men remained around even during the action hero boom, and then depending on what network you watched, the anime boom. Especially when they came back on Fox Kids in 2000, when the first X-Men movie was coming out with Hugh Jackman in it. But X-Men was one of the main shows that Fox Kids had that started a whole continuity franchise of shows that lasted longer than, X-Men animated series was the first one of the Marvel animated universe that lasted like 4 or 5 seasons. It then led into like Spider-Man and Iron Man and the Hulk with those same character designs, the same voice actors, and same, you know, continuities. Even when some of the later shows of that universe only lasted like 1 season or 2 seasons, those characters will appear in the next show to tie up some loose end or to help out the newer heroes or whatever the case. And that's what this show started. So X-Men animated series and also Batman animated series started in 1992 and were the two main franchises of the 90s, even during the early years. Even when during the early years when most shows that you will see would still be Merry Melodies and Bugs Bunny and Bobby's World and slapstick comedy type of cartoons, these shows were still around then to kind of give us something different. And the combination of good shows, good writing, people who actually give a crap about shows, and people who watch them, not just to make money off of them, and the combination of creative promos, even when they weren't that action-oriented or anime-centered yet, they were still creative and fun to watch. So X-Men and Batman started Fox Kids, but what I'm about to unbox is arguably one of the greatest shows, however corny you may see it, would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. As you can see, this is a instructions booklet from the first Super Nintendo game that me and my cousin, who goes by Mr. Atkins or Nunu, wherever the hell his name is, used to play all the time. Should actually print this picture out and put it on the wall. These 6 individuals is which kind of started our childhoods, to be honest. Because a lot of us who grew up and were born either between 88 or the early 90s, a lot of us, unless we were attracted by Rogue and a southern accent and sexy curves, or unless we were attracted by some type of superhero themes or color themes or wherever the case in X-Men or wherever action animated series that came out during the earlier years, other than those traits, at least me and myself personally wasn't that into those shows yet, because my mind wasn't that processed to the point of appreciating outside of maybe standalone episodes or a few minutes of watching X-Men or wherever the case. You know, that's why by the time, especially if I was watching X-Men in the early 90s, by the time we got to multi-part episodes like the Phoenix Saga or wherever the case, I would either fall asleep or be extremely bored and wait for the next show, or just wait until they just beat Apocalypse or beat the Phoenix and then move on to the next episode, because my mind wasn't processed enough then to grasp the themes that X-Men was portraying. Racism and bigotry and prejudice and I know you want someone that has this mold and this look off the bat, but I have inward qualities, even though I may not have the damn looks, the ideal personality that someone will automatically expect. You know, themes like that. I didn't grasp those themes then. So the first show that caught my eye was in 1993, and I remember when I first saw it. I was about 4 or 5 years old in the early 90s, back when the Fox Kids lineup still consisted of Merry Melodies, Bugs Bunny, and Beetlejuice, and Tom and Jerry Kids. And at that point, I think Batman already premiered and X-Men already premiered, even though they were showing the first 2 mistake episodes over and over instead of just going on to the next few episodes that they already made. Like, who gives a crap that for the first 2 seconds of the intro, Magneto's costume was colored wrong and you had extra dialogue, and it's just stupid. Stupid. But anyway, I went over to my Aunt Sylvia's house, and Crystal, my cousin Sean, my cousin Will or Willie, wherever he called himself then, and my cousin Anthony were watching TV, and I was watching these costume teenagers just fighting and just it wasn't the plot or anything that caught my eye yet, but like I mentioned earlier, it was the color themes and the color associations. I don't mean color as in race, but color as in literally like crayon colors or wherever that you would find in stores or when you're using coloring books and stuff. That and the music and whatever else caught my eye. And it was this show. You had action, but it was balanced with enough comedy and maybe little too much corniness at times and recycled footage and whatnot. The Power Rangers franchise, starting with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, starting with the original 5 and then 6 with Tommy, even though this game didn't have Tommy. So plot wise, you had to beat the later monsters with just the Dino Megazord. But anyway, I'm about to unbox a couple of items that I ordered off of eBay, because sometimes Amazon doesn't have everything, and sometimes it's vice versa, to where sometimes you can find stuff on Amazon that eBay may not have. And I am thankful, even in my later years, to where I do have a job and go to school and take college classes and whatnot, that I'm able to buy this. Because as you've seen at the beginning of my video, right now, based off the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because the Power Rangers franchise is in its like 25th anniversary, and they're at the point of still re-releasing older figures, either in a completely new way or just changing it up a little bit. That red Tyrannosaurus up there is bigger than the one that originally came out in 1993. To where it's about the size of a deluxe Zord, but you could still consider that a special size Zord that's more affordable than the deluxe version of the entire Megazord or Thunder Megazord or whatever in the Legacy line. I paid 25 bucks to almost 30 bucks for that. That's ridiculous, but at the same time, you know, I like the Red Ranger, Jason. Jason, because strong leadership, or at least a strong example that's noticeable. And just situations of where you would need common sense, or situations to where you can come up with decisive and accurate decisions and logical decisions in a tough situation, especially in a Zord fight or wherever the case. But if you were to go into a store, rest in peace Toys R Us, but if you were to go into a toy store, and rest in peace KB Toys, but if you were to go into a toy store and want to get an entire Megazord or a Thunder Megazord in its deluxe size, you would have to pay nowadays $200 to $300 for it. And it's ridiculous because, I mean, by the time I'm able to have a job now, it's more expensive. Even though it's more for the collectors, people who like to collect it for collecting purposes, as opposed to the 4 or 5-year-old that doesn't value it and just gonna play with it and stuff. Because back then, an entire Megazord cost $20 or $30 something at the most, and then the Titanis, same thing. You know, give or take. Or if you couldn't afford it, or if you couldn't find the deluxe versions, or the parents just didn't want to, you know, get you the Titanus and the Shogun Megazord and the Ninja Mega Falcon, whatever, then they had the special size Zords. And the Tyrannosaurs that you saw at the beginning of this, for this new Legacy line, would be basically the cheaper, more affordable special size Zord for this line. So what I got off of eBay, I got a couple of items in the mail that came early, or maybe one of them came on time because I ordered it first, but another one of the items came early. And I'm about to see what I got. And y'all are gonna be along for the ride. Not that I'm Batman, but even Batman always kept a pocket knife. I just hope this tape doesn't run out before I'm finished. Or run out at an early time to where I have to rush through and hurry up. Even though I might edit this video. This styrofoam crap. Yes! Yes! Woo! I may not be a big fan of Tommy, because unlike Jason, he's just as, it's like how Ryu and Ken in any version of Street Fighter has trained together, and they were evenly matched physically in regards to fighting and whatnot, or like Goku and Vegeta for Dragon Ball, or like Michael Jordan and himself. But Tommy and Jason were evenly matched physically, but Jason was more of the strategic one. Tommy was the more of the quote-unquote marketable one who Fox Kids and Saban loved to death. You know how people joke sometimes how when Tommy came into the picture, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers became Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Tommy Oliver. And then later on, Tommy and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And then when he came back as a White Ranger after all these damn promos of him coming back, it became Tommy Oliver featuring the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or something like that. And he's not as strategic because it's like towards the end of season 1, he had to have come back. Because even though his powers were fading because of the melting green candle, but he had to have come back using his own powers, with Zordon giving him some of his own energy because all the other Rangers were captured. But after all that Return of an Old Friend parts 1 and 2 was over, Tommy should have just went back on the shelf after giving Jason his shield. Because when another Ranger uses, even though Tommy's powers are fading, if another Ranger uses his powers, then those powers do not fade. Those powers stop fading. So Tommy could have stayed out of the show until Zordon made him some new powers. Maybe have the green lights parts 1 and 2 of season 2. I mean, the Megazord and DragonZord and Titanus could have handled the rest of Rita's fights with her monsters and whatnot without the help of Tommy. Because the DragonZord could have been remote controlled by the Dragon Dagger, or Alpha could have controlled the DragonZord from the command center. And then by the time season 2 came, we wouldn't have to worry about Tommy not being strong enough to convert his DragonZord into a ThunderZord. Because the level of power would have still been high enough for them to have enough energy to convert the DragonZord into a Green Dragon ThunderZord. Maybe just have that as a ThunderZord to beat up the Piranha's Head monster at the beginning of season 2, and then the next few episodes, by then, convert the Megazord into a Thunder Megazord. You could have done it like that. And then have Tommy, by the time of the White Lights parts 1 and 2, come back as the Green Ranger in the Green Lights parts 1 and 2. And then by the time the Clone Saga crap happened, that would be, instead of the Return of the Green Ranger parts 1 through 3, it would be White Light parts 1 through 3, and have them stay in the present. But Tommy, and then in season 3, his biggest moment was nearly killing all of his teammates by not fighting smart enough with the Zords and formatting them into different Zords and using everything at your arsenal. I mean, Bruce Willis and damn Carl Winslow off of Die Hard and Family Matters would have been better leaders, even just for those episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, better than Tommy. But the first thing that I've unboxed is something that I have not I have not played with since 1995 and 1996 for the most part. But over the years, a little bit after that, I would keep most of it while losing some of the pieces. But the first thing I'm unboxing is one of the best Zords that Tommy controlled the Mega DragonZord, in which you can detach the Griffin and the Unicorn, and it has the Firebird and the sword, so everything comes with it. And according to the person who sold this, the electronics still work. Let me say some better. Saber-tooth Tiger Griffin Thunderzord power and Triceratops Unicorn Thunderzord power. Let me open this crap. You know what? Screw it. Alright. Pterodactyl Firebird Thunderzord power. And then they included the regular DragonZord sword for some reason. Plus 3 is, so 23 years. After 23 years, this still works, at least a little bit, because it sounds like it's dying at this point. But I might use this to fight the Tyrannosaur, because I don't have any monsters yet. But like Goldar, Rito Revolto, Rhino Blaster, Pexter, or any of the good ones, powerful ones. But I might use this to fight the Tyrannosaurus, or I might use it to fight what I'm about to unbox next. I need some music. My Uncle Billy always told me that when you have good guests, or not always told me, but he told me once that when you have guests, you have music. And all of you are my guests. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is, I think this is an open, or maybe, okay, that's enough Aerosmith. I think this is an unopened box, if I'm not mistaken, but just the wear and tear of just, you know, anything in life, whether material items or just people or just flesh and blood organisms, deteriorates over time. And after 23 years, even with this tear, even with this little tape back here, it's still in good condition. And right now, like I mentioned earlier with the special size Zords, you had, at least during, when you look at the Mighty Morphin era, you had a special sized version of the Dino Megazord in which you could detach the, because I had most of these, that you could detach the Saber-tooth Tiger and the Triceratops. You had the special size Red Dragon Thunderzord and the White Tiger Zord. You had the special size version also in season 2 of the Thunder Megazord, Tor the Carrier Zord, and the Mega Tiger Zord. sometimes you could detach parts, sometimes you couldn't. Sometimes it'll look more detailed because you won't have to worry about paying extra money, so you could have it transform and combine and crap. Sometimes you could do a little bit, just like you could with the deluxe versions, and sometimes you could do some stuff that the deluxe versions can't. Like how the Red Dragon Thunderzord special size one could actually twirl his hand while holding his spear like he could on the show, whereas if he, with the deluxe version, he had to spin his whole damn arm. But that's what you had in the Mighty Morphin era, and then in season 3 of Mighty Morphin, you had the special size version, in some cases the so-called movie version of the Ninja Mega Falcon Zord that came with the large version of the Ape Zord's sword, and you could like punch it. I mean, you could like, it had like rock'em sock'em hands, and it came with a detachable Falcon Zord, so it has some similarities to the deluxe versions. But even with the American releases, because as a lot of you know, Power Rangers was an American show. I mean, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was an American show, but it used footage and borrowed concepts, and it basically was a spawn of and from, you know, the Japanese counterparts of what we would know as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and whatnot from Japan, whether it was called the Zaire Rangers or Go Rangers or wherever the case. So with that being said, when looking at the releases that came out in America for toys and whatnot, special size or deluxe versions of the Mega Tiger Zord or DragonZord or wherever the case, certain stuff was only released in Japan, whether Americans got to own some of it or not. Some of the stuff was only released in Japan. Like I looked on online in Japan, America. I looked online, and America never had a special sized version of the. Well, they had a special sized version of the Megazord, but they never had a special sized version of the combination that already came as the Mega. As I mentioned before, my tape ran out of tape, and my camera ran out of tape. Certain stuff was released in America, like footage that was used in action figures that were still released for Americans. But certain stuff was made exclusively for Japan that was never released in America. Like we nor Japan never had a special sized version of the DragonZord, unless you count some remote control operated Zord or some battery operated version of it, but nothing like that. No special sized version of the Mega DragonZord with the DragonZord on top of the Dino Megazord. And Titanus was never released in America, but Japan had one, except the only one I found was missing a fist and didn't come with the power, so I'm like, I don't want the rest of that crap if you don't have that. And then, now the special sized version of the DragonZord Battle Mode was released in America, but Japan had one, and I have a copy of it. This. It's still new. I don't think it has never been open. Wait. It has the stickers fell out. But anyway, special size version of the Zord, and we're about to open it because I freed up 20 minutes. As you can see, it looks just as good as the deluxe version or the legacy version. Picture of the original 5 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the Green Ranger, who was a lone wolf then, wasn't the leader. Japanese writings. This came out in Japan. For some reason, it has a detachable fin piece. I guess that represents how sometimes the DragonZord Battle Mode or the regular DragonZord has that attack that shoots his fin out with energy. And you can detach the saber-tooth tiger and the Triceratops. They still have the general directions, even though it's in Japanese. Yep. Let's see what it can do. Wait a minute. Why does this come with guns? I mean, it's one thing to have extra accessories, but a blaster pistol to go inside the... I give up trying to explain stuff sometimes. But you have the stickers, in which I might turn this video off for the time being so I can put them on. Are they still sticky? After 20... This is 92. So after 26 years, these are still sticky. And I'm going to be right back as I put these things on. You know what? Screw that. I'm going to do the unboxing first, then put the stickers on and show the finished product and whatnot. You got some random blaster pistols or whatever. Wherever the hell these things are supposed to be. And you got detachable versions of the Triceratops and Saber-Tooth Tiger. And unlike the detachable versions of the special size Griffin and Unicorn that you can find on the Mega Tigerzord or the Thunder Megazord, those are almost exactly alike except for different configuration parts. But those are exactly alike their deluxe and show counterparts, in which there wasn't that much configuration for those Zords to begin with. But with these, or mainly in its vehicle mode / tank mode / already configured to connect with the DragonZord or Megazord modes anyway. Because when you first see the Saber-Tooth Tiger or Triceratops, or at least the Saber-Tooth Tiger, it has legs. These are already configured into leg mode, but at least they have some type of uniqueness outside of them being legs. Here, for the DragonZord battle mode, you have its Dragon Staff. Yep. Dragon Staff. I should really fold this knife up. Then last but not least, come on now, 20-something years. You have I could see why one of the damn fists are missing from the Mega DragonZord in that other Japanese release, basically the Dino Ultrazord re-release, because they probably came with detachable fists that you shoot out for some odd reason by pressing a button. Rocket punch. And they probably never found it. That was a Android 16 Dragon Ball Z reference. Y'all have to forgive me, it's late at night. I needed to do my curl up routine and watch some Drawn Together and then go to bed, but yeah. And you could turn his head. Wait, where's the... Oh no. Don't tell me. Son of a bitch. Shit. Saber-Tooth Tiger, Triceratops, Dragon Staff, some guns for some ridiculous reason. The sticker, rest of the stickers. Unless why did this thing have to be detachable to begin with? I don't get it. Unless I just do something creative and get some clay or something and mold it and just do it that way, but or get some cardboard and color it and carve it, but I don't see That's what I get for buying stuff from Japan. But anyway, that kind of broke my heart a little bit. At least the Mega Dragon, the Mega DragonZord came in one piece, but Triceratops, Saber-tooth Tiger, Triceratops. Nah, shoot. You see, y'all kind of, I guess y'all knows by now that I've watched the show for been watching the show so many times, even up till now, that it didn't take me that long to transform it. DragonZord Battle Mode. Some of the stickers missing. And I'm gonna have to get a piece of cardboard or something and carve it to where, and paint it gray. To where I can mimic, gray and green or whatever, to where I can mimic the fin that's missing. And then there we go. The two Zords. Auxiliary Zord combinations from the first season and second season. I might just be crazy enough to try to get another one of these so I can get a fin piece. But I might have to turn this camera off in a little bit to do a little bit of battling. Maybe unbox that Tyrannosaurus and have a little three-way battle. Zord fight. Because you can find some of those on the internet. It's just, it's nice when things come full circle in life in a good way, or at least not in a way where it's a bad thing or it comes back in the form of bad karma. Like getting to a point now where you're able to have a job and whatever, to where you can get your own Zords on your own terms. And be thankful enough that you could get more. I mean, I'm thankful to be at a point now where a lot of stuff that was lost to me, even if it's in the form of material possessions and whatnot, are coming back to me either exactly how it was before or better, or just slightly different. But more or less, I'm getting my childhood back. And when I mean childhood, I do not mean being in middle school or whatever, and hearing every other conversation being about something stupid or ridiculous or something bizarre, or hearing every other conversation being about what girl you gonna try to screw next, or in some other people's cases being bullied or being teased or whatever the case. When I mean childhood, I mean a time period, whether on TV or in life in general, before any of that type of stuff happened to you, or before any of that type of stuff was noticeable on TV or in life in general, where your biggest worries that I miss, that your biggest worries were either spending some time with your grandma, spending some time with your mom for a lot of us, or spending your time with your relatives, playing outside for a little bit and watching some good ass TV. For me, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, if my drawn together DVD set wasn't in my TV right now, I would pop some DVDs in of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers while I'm playing with my Zords, because that's what I did often when I wasn't in school or chilling with my grandma herself. I would sit in front of a television set, sometimes with my Tiger Zord or Special Size Zord. If I wasn't going to a live show of Power Rangers, I would be in front of a TV while holding one of the Zords, just kind of enjoying life in a simple way. Sometimes we gotta sit back and just be thankful. I just wish that a lot of shows and franchises could exist for more than just a short amount of time. I wish that more than just Power Rangers and Pokemon and SpongeBob SquarePants and Family Guy, I wish more than just those shows will be allowed to have a 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary, 30th anniversary, a Shattered Grid storyline in the comics, or possibly a TV show or a movie. Well, I wish, regardless of how bad some of those shows may be considered by some people, or how bad some of the seasons are, or how great a lot of those shows still are overall, I wish more franchises could have that type of spotlight, because I know executive producers and higher ups and powers that be have the money to give these lower executive producers the time of day and resources to keep more than just this afloat, or more than just this coming back. I mean, back in the 90s to earlier 2000s, the Marvel animated universe that I mentioned that started with X-Men animated series started in both X-Men and Bruce Timm's Batman animated series that respectively each represented the Marvel animated universe and the DC animated universe. Lasted over a decade. Over a decade, just short of maybe 15 years. Because the Marvel animated universe started with X-Men and lasted from 1992 to 2001. Started with X-Men animated series and through Spider-Man and whatnot, ended with Avengers United They Stand. With the best animation, but only lasted one season. Best animation out of all of them, but only one season of 13 episodes. And then Batman animated series in the DCAU lasted from 1992, but lasted longer from Fox Kids all the way into Kids WB and Toonami. Ended with Justice League Unlimited and Teen Titans in 2006. So the Marvel animated universe lasted, what, 9 years? And then the DCAU lasted from 1992 to 2006, so that's 14 years. Power Rangers, as an example, started a year after X-Men and Batman did with their respective universes, but are still alive with new episodes with Toei re-releases and team-up episodes and stuff to this day. To this day. And to this day, even though some of these other shows started later in 99 or 2000 or whatever the case, are still alive to this day. Family Guy, Simpsons, Futurama, not Futurama, but Family Guy, Simpsons, Fairly Odd Parents, and wherever the case. And a lot of those shows, a lot of fans don't really consider good all the time anymore. So why can't other shows have that same treatment? Because it's a lot of those shows themselves that kept a lot of blocks alive. Because without some star shows, more than just those main shows that are still alive that I mentioned, are what kept networks afloat. Even though it was those networks and blocks that gave life and gave a chance to those shows to begin with. But it's like a parent that gives life to a child. It's because of the parents that the child is alive and is allowed to do certain things and allowed to have spotlight and be the star of the family or wherever the case. It's because of the parents. And it gets to a point where the child gets older and helps support the parents while the parents kind of supports the child. It's to the point where the child or the children, even though they're not a child or children anymore at a certain point, will be the main one to support the parents, hopefully. Same thing with the world of TV. It got to a point where it wasn't just a balance, especially for Fox Kids, at least in my eyes, looking back. It wasn't just at one point anymore of being a balance between Bobby's World and Warner Brothers and Animaniacs and whatnot, because a lot of those shows would move the Kids WB starting in 1995, 1996, and 1997 especially. So it got to a point on Fox Kids to where even if they had comedic shows, those were put on the back burner to where it was either the rest of the Marvel animated universe, because by the time of the late 90s, I'm talking about after 1996, Spider-Man and X-Men was starting to run its course, so Silver Surfer only lasted one season, and Avengers United the Stand only lasted one season. And after Spider-Man and X-Men ran its course, it was pretty much over for Fox Kids. Because even after a lot of the Warner Brothers, Steven Spielberg, and Bruce Timm Batman shows left for Kids WB, it was still Marvel and Power Rangers being the big two to carry Fox Kids. Just like that proverbial, brother and sister that's old enough to kind of support their parents more so the parents won't have to do as much. Same thing for Fox Kids. Fox Kids was that parent while Power Rangers and X-Men, while the Power Rangers in a brief Marvel franchise carried the parent that was Fox Kids until until the Marvel animated universe died, or was that proverbial sibling that just retired and went off into the sunset, as the Power Rangers stayed behind until Fox Kids died in the US, carrying Fox Kids afloat. And we're talking about heading into the 2000s. If any of y'all remember, either from experiencing it firsthand or looking back, researching or whatever, y'all have to remember that Power Rangers was around even when it wasn't popular anymore during the original Saban run. I mean, by the time we got to Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, even with the Lost episode special and Austin St. John coming back and Zach coming back still looking like he's 16 years old, I'm talking about by 1999 with the Power Rangers Lost Galaxy era. At that point, even when Fox Kids never picked up Dragon Ball Z or Sailor Moon, by the time Monster Rancher and Digimon creeped into the network or block, things were starting, the writing was on the wall, whether you look at it as good or bad. Because at that point, we started moving more towards anime. And then by the anime boom, it was just, as Fox Kids put it, it was an invasion, an anime invasion, in a good and bad way to me. It was good because we got more shows and anime like we should have gotten sooner with Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, the Ocean Dub Saban episodes. But at the same time, by the early 2000s, Power Rangers was losing its popularity, or losing its, not necessarily its appeal, because it still had Zords and good actors and whatnot, or at least decent actors or whatever. But at that point, how it was presented, it was like Power Rangers was kind of like, instead of it being shown because we know Power Rangers still got the juice, Power Rangers still has everything they had, even comparing it to the Mighty Morphin days, it wasn't because, I mean, at that point, Power Rangers was there not because of those reasons. It was just there because, oh, we still got Power Rangers. Power Rangers was still on Fox Kids, being presented more as, hey, we got Power Rangers for the sake of out of habit. But what I appreciate about Power Rangers and any of the actors that was up there was Power Rangers had a sense of longevity that I wish other shows had. Because a lot of shows were still good, just like I mentioned earlier, executive producers never gave any of the others a chance for whatever reason. But I would just like to take this time, I guess, to end this video to thank even the executive producers, but also to thank the Bruce Timms and the Stan Lees and the Andre Romanos, and to thank Austin St. John, and thank a lot of the actors for essentially giving us our childhoods, other than our parents and whatnot, giving us our childhoods from the TV perspective, for giving us the early years of the early 90s, from 1992 to 1996-ish, for giving us the action boom from 96/97 to 99. Because, at that point, Kids WB had the heavy duty doubles, and Fox Kids, Rox Kids, had the Generation Fox Kids. And I would like to thank, and I'm also thankful for having the anime boom from 2000 to 2006 or whatever. You know, Toonami becoming more popular and eventually becoming the only block left that had quality and whatnot. And then I would like to thank my parents and just anybody who played a part of my childhood, especially parental figures and grandparents and whatnot, for kind of being there before us to kind of lay any and all types of foundation for us, not just be able to sit in front of a television for most of our childhoods or a lot of the times, but also to lay the moral foundations. And that might be another topic for another video, because I'm not even sure if I got 20 minutes left on this tape on this SD card. But I'm thankful, even with these getting back or getting for the first time, even with this missing DragonZord fin piece that I could probably replicate. I could just trace out the box and then use an X-Acto knife to... The benefits of being... The benefits of taking art classes, taking college classes. Be thankful. Peace and love.